in this COVID climate, it's a bit of a hot question for me to ask, but there's been a lot of rest of world money in. There's been no other activity on the last couple of months. So we've seen people betting across the world on Australian racing. Have you noticed anything different in how the market's been playing?
I've noticed, I think the volumes are super strong. So that's been awesome. In regards to market moves and stuff like that, no, I don't know. I haven't particularly got I don't think the market's backing one certain type of horse or anything like that. I mean, I always find the horse with the fastest times is at the pointy end of the market. So that doesn't really change. And that's just sort of, I mean, that's just obvious. If a horse runs a good time in a good race, they come up favourite next start, basically. So, I mean, there's a bit of a pile-on effect where everyone likes to jump into that sort of horse at the top of the market. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess betting around those at points can be some value, but I think that's pretty much how it has been for a while.
And all your stuff's just sort of backing the ones that you've black booked and really want to be on. Is there any lay betting from your profiling?
There's a little bit, yeah. Like if I do a race and I hate the favourite but can't quite find which of these I've got 2 or 3 horses that sort of are chances to win, but I can't sort of separate them. That's probably a great race where I'd start laying one. Also horses with fast times that go forward in, fast run races. I could sometimes lay them sort of, you can sometimes do place lays as well. They're pretty fun to try and get them knocked over. But so laying is sort of is there in my head, but it's sort of like the second thought. So if I can't find a horse that I know is going to win the race, but I don't like the favourite, that's when I'll lay the favourite or the second pick, whatever I think is going to be unders. Yeah.
And just another thing that I'm curious about, you don't have to get too specific, but your staking strategy, have you got set amounts that you're trying to do? Is it a percentage of a bank thing? What are you trying to do, backing something at 3s compared to something at 12s?
Yeah, so it's similar that I've had for a while. So basically the bigger the edge, it's sort of like it's some sort of Kelly's criterion to a degree. It's a varying method, but basically the theory I use, the more edge I have in the bet, the more of my sort of percentage of bank I'm prepared to try to win. Yeah. So if I've marked a horse $5 and it's sort of $4, like that's obviously no good. But if I've marked it $5 and it's $6, it's like, okay, there's a little something there. So I'll just back that normally to win. I don't know, to take out like 3% of my bank or something like that. But if I've marked one sort of evens and you're getting $3, that's a really big difference. And they're the ones you sort of risk more percentage-wise because they're the bets that'll sort of kick you on. So, yeah, basically it's identifying the difference in my price to market price, and the bigger the edge I think I have, the bigger percent I'll risk. Or the bigger percent I'll try to collect, basically.
Yep, makes sense. And just for, continuing with that discipline, have you got any tips for people in terms of recording their bets? Is there, a spreadsheet sort of setup you recommend or anything in particular?
Yeah. Using Excel, I definitely log all your bets for, date, state, track condition, whether it's a metro, provincial or a country race. I've always said mark the price you took versus the price it starts. So I think that's an important one. And then, so you want to measure how you're beating the market, and you don't have to beat the market. Some people don't specialize in that, but that's not a bad guide to sort of test yourself on. And then sort of look how you're going in the provincials versus the metros versus the country sort of area. But for those who have databases, like Ratings to Win has a really good area that records your bets, and they break it down by jockey and, how you go back in favourites, how you go back in, horses in certain price brackets and stuff like that. It tracks your runabouts and all that sort of stuff. So the more detail you have, the better. But yeah, you want to know how you're going in different sort of states, different tracks is probably an important one. You know, if you're someone that backs horses that hit the line, you sort of probably will need to adjust that betting strategy for those tracks like your Dolbys and your Canterburys and that sort of stuff, where it's a little bit more on pace and stuff like that. So unless you sort of have that written down, you're just sort of guessing. But I've seen in my results, I sort of need to focus more on the times horses at those venues with the shorter straights and more on pace-ish.
Yeah, cool. I might lean on you to share that spready in an article on the Hub. Actually, I think that'd be really valuable. Just sort of seeing that template for people.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have got something to sort of mirror off. Following on with that, any sort of head stuff that you do in terms of keeping a clear betting head, you know, not getting flat after bad variance. Like, what do you do to keep that, you know, betting psychology in check?
Yeah, well, you haven't got me at a great time, because during COVID, with all the gyms locked down and stuff, I've pretty much retired from exercise. But I did say, and it is good to do, like in my articles I did with you guys, I tried to get, you know, a run or gym session in at least sort of 3 or 4 times a week. And yeah, really clear your mind. Going into a day feeling as though you need to collect is a really bad thing. If you're sort of under pressure, you've had a loss, you've had a few losing weeks, going, I need to find a winner, you mentally sort of you start checking into the wrong horses, just looking for obvious things. And you know, anyone that just sort of identifies the obvious, they won't win on the punt, because the obvious is the market has found the obvious. So it's the tricky stuff and the little 0.5% that make all the difference as punters. So yeah, whatever it does to get you in the right mindset state to do the form is what you need to do. I mean, I love sort of what I do. So, yeah, me missing a few gym sessions and that isn't a big deal. I can sort of handle losing now better than I used to. But yeah, the point is, whatever anyone can do to get in a fresh headspace where you don't need to collect in your very next bet is a great place to be. Just focusing on the right bets, finding, you know, value, I suppose, is what's more important, and just being confident that the results will come your way eventually. Not looking for a winner at your very next bet is probably get yourself in that headspace by doing whatever you need to do, whether it's exercise or meditate or just even have a few days off the form, whatever that works for people, go for it.
Yeah. And just talk us through your home office setup. Like, where are you working out of? It can be a bit tricky at the moment in this COVID climate, especially if you've got 2 rug rats.
I do.
To get the space
I got kicked out of my home office when we had our second kid, so that wasn't very nice. But I've set up, I have set up a make-do office in the house. So look, you don't need too much. I've got a nice big desk. I've actually got a stand-up desk, so you can go up and down. If I've been sitting all day, I can just decide to put it up and have a day standing or have half a day standing. So I think that's sort of something just to, you get in it. If once I've been sitting and I go to the stand-up mode, that's sort of been a bit of a freshen up, which is good. So yeah, look, I do. I don't need too much. I've got a laptop, a powerful laptop that can run my database really well. Connect it to another screen or 2. Have Foxtel sitting there. That's my home setup, and then I've got another office where I have a similar setup, just two screens. I go in. It all runs off my laptop all the time, so I don't need to keep changing sort of hard drives and stuff like that. So get a good, powerful laptop, I'd suggest. Unfortunately, the Macs don't really cut it in regards to a lot of the form software. So I'd suggest I've got an MSI. It's basically like a gamer's a gamer's laptop. I haven't played a game in my life on it. It's so sometimes people see you down the street with your gamer's bag, like your laptop bag, and like, hey man, you play this? I'm like, don't know what you're talking about. But get a strong computer, and you don't need too much. Ratings to Win has a lot of information that stretches across the screen. So a good quality sort of 4K screen is what I need to sort of to read all my form sort of nice and clearly and quickly. So I'd suggest that.
And your office setup, is that a co-working space? You share it with a few people? How's that work?
Yeah, so I was punting with a mate of mine who moved interstate. So I've just I think I put out a little thing on Twitter saying I'm looking for some space, and I got in contact with some other guys that do form, and they had a little area for me to sort of lob into. So so that's been great. Getting back in sort of a team environment to a degree is a really positive thing. And I think you talked about it before. Just being on your own is really, like, no other job has you so I don't know what the word is, but just away from anyone. You know, the mental demons can creep in. You can get bored and start finding bets that aren't there. So, I mean, the beauty about the internet is you can talk to other punters. Like on Twitter, people are talking all the time about stuff, or having a Zoom or a Skype or some WhatsApp groups where you're just talking. The Racing Rant guys have a Slack chat room. So I enjoyed getting into sort of an environment where I see other people a couple of times a week. That's really good. And we can cross-reference form ideas and stuff like that. So we're always challenging each other to be better. So that's really good. I suggest anyone finds, if they're not going to have a co-worker, at least find someone that you can challenge each other's tips. And if they're just tips at this stage, you're not a pro, just challenge each other's form and make each other better and accountable for their decisions sort of post-race. Talk about did you get it right? Did you get it wrong? Where did I make the mistake in the form process?
And what else? Yeah, really important stuff. What else do you do for that the socializing part? Like, does Twitter and your office sort of suffice that, or do you need sort of other extra meetup stuff that you're seeing?
So I've joined up with, I do some stuff for you guys and Racing Rant to just express some opinions. So that's pretty good. As I said, it's not a great time now during COVID, but a lot of my mates I've met people along the way, as I said, through various Betfair functions who are sort of pro punters or semi-pros. So just, we're always talking about stuff, and no one gives away their secrets and that, but it's just getting an environment where you can talk about racing with other pros is, really beneficial. So, we used to hang out all the time. Every Sundays and Mondays are basically pro punters are sort of switching off from the week's worth of work. So, we used to catch up for beers like anyone normally does, but it hasn't happened for a while. But at least I've had some other people to talk to in the new setup I've got.
Nice one. And I might just leave on this one, mate. Just if you were giving some advice to someone, I'm sure a few people ask you this, but if you were looking to get into the game now, where would you recommend someone start? Obviously, it's unrealistic to have an idea and think you can be a full-time pro. There's a lot of time, as you demonstrate, to get where you are. But where do you think someone should dip their toes in terms of taking their punting from recreational to being more accountable and ultimately successful?
Yeah, well, it's getting a bit harder. Like, as I said in my articles, try and get a job working at a corporate or a bookmaker or Betfair. But trying to get a job in the industry where you're getting paid to see other pros sort of operate is really, really good. If you can't do that, people are starting lots of tipping sites or Facebook groups where you tip stuff. So what that does is you do put yourself out there, and being able to handle the pressure from other people seeing your tips is basically what you sort of need to keep improving. So yeah, you do need to put yourself out there in some degree. It's hard to get jobs in the corporate bookie landscape now. Like, I mean, I could tell when I was leaving that the corporates were going very much automated in regards to how they priced up their runners. They didn't really care if these days they don't really care if someone in the office thinks this horse is a lay or whatever. They'll just say, look, just go with the market and stuff like that. So the value of the form student is not really there in the corporate bookie game anymore. Maybe there might be a couple that have a bit of value there. So trying to get a foot in the door in some way to put yourself out there, like, you know, having a little group of mates where you're tipping and keeping yourself accountable is probably the easiest way for people to do it. But yeah, like, at the end of the day, your own ability to sort of critique yourself is what will take you to the next level.
Beautiful, mate. I love that. That's a powerful last sentence, and I think you summed up that well. Like that opportunity to create a profile online and hold yourself accountable there, or even start a Facebook group with mates, a Slack channel where you're just sharing stuff, and then obviously building up. And I think your example of just the discipline and recording your bets is really the difference between, doing this seriously or not.
Yeah, I think so. You need something to fall back on and have something written down. You just can't go off the vibe, or I think I don't do well backing first up horses, or I think I don't do well backing Waller and all that sort of stuff. Like, I think your brain plays tricks on you. So having it written down in some capacity is key. And also the ability to handle some criticism from your mates or whatever for bad tips is, if you can't handle the criticism from your mates, you won't survive being a full-time punter yourself, because it'll get your own self, your own mental headspace will kill you if your mates are sort of making it hard for you.
Good stuff, mate. All right, I really appreciate your time, Matt. People can follow you on Twitter. We'll probably link to that underneath where we're going to share the video, and also we've got a bunch of stuff from you from the Betfair Hub, and hopefully a lot more to come as well.
Okay, pleasure, J-Mac. Thank you very much.